Hey guys, welcome back to Coin Knowledge. So if we actually take a look here at Bitcoin, we can see that Bitcoin obviously is breaking all-time highs consistently throughout today. Now, I do want to point out real fast before we get into the video that if you guys had watched my last video, even the video before that, right before the election, I believe, I had actually predicted that, my thesis was if Trump got in, that I thought we would, kind of move to 80K by the following, by the end of that same week. So that's last week at this point. And that, is pretty much what had, kind of happened, kind of played out. We started moving towards the upside. And then, on the last video, I told you guys, hey, throughout the weekend, I can still, see us hitting 80K. And what's crazy is that, I think some people maybe didn't agree with that sentiment, that maybe it was a little bit too bullish, but I told you guys in that video, if you guys don't think that Bitcoin was going to hit 80K after Trump got in, with all the hype and all the, differences in, the politics and the whole government for the US about how pro-crypto it all is on the right side, on the Republican side right now, and throughout just the whole government, everything's a major shift is coming. It's happening. We see it right now, and I do think the US is now starting to realize that, cryptocurrency is something to focus on. They want to now position themselves to be a leader in that space. So now, obviously, we're seeing Bitcoin, smash almost to 90K here. Now, I will say, I saw 80K coming after Trump got in, but I will say I did not see such an aggressive, quick move by Bitcoin up to 90K. We see that we started, just on the one day, we gained almost $10,000, about a 10%, 11% move on Bitcoin. If you look at the all-time high, it has just been getting put in consistently today at the time of recording this. And, the all-time high here is just shy of 90K, which is pretty insane. And so, again, I make the statement of if you think Bitcoin isn't going to 100K by the end of the year, you have to, just kind of look at where we're at right now with all the hype going on, everything that's going on in the world, going on in the U.S. And, it could have happened. I think there's a stronger chance now, and I think a lot of people are starting to realize that Bitcoin is something that is, finally to be taken serious again. I think we are entering the stage, of the market where Bitcoin, as it usually does, if we look at the 4-year cycle, for Bitcoin alone, we can see that Bitcoin after the elections usually do go up. And then, as Bitcoin goes up, we start seeing the Bitcoin dominance rise. And then it's not until typically Bitcoin dominance starts to lower and then others or altcoins start to rise. So I don't think that we're in an altcoin season right now. I do think there's the potential for one to begin, here pretty soon, maybe by, December, maybe Q1 of 2025 is where I really expect a lot of liquidity to be flowing in. So before we get into the rest of the video, I just want to let you guys know, as always, even though I will not be saying this statement for much longer because the market is starting to heat up pretty quickly. If you guys think that you have missed this market, if you guys think that, you've missed everything just because you see Bitcoin, up 30% on the 7-day, which is nuts right now, I just want to remind you guys, you are not. You are still early. Now, obviously, the more time that goes on, the more time you wait before entering the market, if that's something you feel comfortable doing, then, the less early you're going to start becoming. But I will say, at the time of recording this video right now, I do genuinely think that you haven't really missed anything major if you're looking at projects. And we're going to go over a couple of them in this video alone, a couple of the narratives that I'm, pretty excited about, and ones that I think are going to perform quite well. None of these honestly should surprise you if you've been around for the channel, but I'm just giving you guys my opinion here on where we're at in the market potentially. I do think that altcoin season is going to be coming within the next, maybe month, maybe 2 to 3 months. Again, I think, I don't think you've missed anything crazy until honestly December. I do see, altcoins really starting to get a lot of liquidity in December. And who knows, if you look at the last cycle here in 2021, we can see that the Bitcoin top was like March, April time frame. And then it started going down, and then altcoins obviously were running quite a bit, and then we had kind of a sell-off summer, and then it heated up again with Bitcoin top being obviously about early December or early November at that time, and then we saw altcoins do quite well, except leading into Q1 of 2022, and then the bear market started to set in with a lot of different events that had happened at that time. So again, guys, if you think that you're late, you're not. Now, sure, are you as early as someone, like us, if you've been watching the videos, if you've been supporting the channel and getting in on some of those calls, we were buying throughout the bear market a year ago, 2 years ago. We were looking, eyeing our top quality and high conviction bets. We were getting placed in them. And again, if you've been a long time supporter of the channel, you've gotten a few, quite a few wins on this channel, because that's what it means, to actually have conviction in your projects, actually do the research, put the time in. Don't just buy anything, especially before we get into it. Don't buy any of these projects just because you see me talking about them or anyone online talking about them. I'm just a guy, just giving you guys my opinion. Nothing is financial advice. Do your own research. Now, obviously, with that, just a quick little rant again in the beginning of where I think we're at in the cycle right now with Bitcoin. Obviously, when Bitcoin's performing like this, we do see some of the top 10, 50 coins, altcoins start to do pretty well. Obviously, we see Dogecoin kind of doing quite well with the whole, Elon Musk making the Doge part of the economy, Department of Government Efficiency, and then supporting Trump. Obviously, Trump got in. Elon's benefiting quite a bit, as he should. It was a massive risk there. Cardano is, I think, surprising a lot of people, but the founder, I think Charles Haskin, is actually going to start, advising for cryptocurrency for the U.S. government. So that's what's happening there. And then we see stuff like Avalanche. Solana's obviously performing. Toncoin. Obviously, the first, the top 25, 50 altcoins, whenever Bitcoin does go, up quite a bit, those are the first to get liquidity. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole, watered down, money trickle down effect, because that's not the point of this video. But typically, when Bitcoin goes, the first 25, 50 coins will go next. That's where money will flow. And then top 100, top 200, and then the mid cap, lower caps, and so onward. Now, if we're looking at, where I'm looking at right now, again, a lot of this is going to be very familiar to you guys if you guys have been around the channel for any amount of time. Now, two ecosystems that I've been very bullish on and I've been very, very vocal on, on the channel here, for years now. Honestly, for years, nothing has changed. We see Solana. I think Solana, out of everything right now, I do think it generally does have the strongest opportunity to flip Ethereum. I've been saying that, and I'm not the only one obviously saying that. I'm not taking credit for that. But I do think Solana definitely has the highest chance to flip Ethereum. It's only 3x away from flipping Ethereum as far as market cap goes. I think that could happen this cycle. I mean, I really do. Solana just works. Big institutions, they like Solana. It works. Obviously, there's the talks of a meme coin super cycle. Meme coins is a hot narrative this cycle. I always tell you guys, I'm not necessarily, going to cover memes on this channel. It's just something I think is a little irresponsible on my part, and, it's kind of harder to do research on, but I do think fading memes entirely this cycle maybe isn't the best bet. But again, there's plenty of other meme coin, groups or channels. It's just not something I'm going to cover on this channel, at least at this time. That could change. Let me know in the comments below. But when we look at that, obviously a lot of the meme coins are being made and traded on Solana. So I do think Solana is definitely going to maybe flip Ethereum. So that's almost a catch-up trade there. And then we're seeing it perform quite well. I mean, I think it's literally about all-time highs. Pretty close. I mean, 260's all-time highs. It's not that far away, honestly. I think it's already crushed all-time highs by market cap. So yeah, it's at all-time highs right now. Now, if we go to Avalanche, that is another one that I was telling you guys on almost every other video, honestly, that Avalanche was undervalued. We're seeing Avalanche make aggressive moves right now. From about a $10 billion market cap all the way up to a $15 billion. Now, this is a perfect example of there's going to be pullbacks, obviously. And I said it in the last video, I do expect Bitcoin with moving so aggressively as it is. A healthy pullback, here in the near future, very, very short term, is super healthy. If Bitcoin falls beneath 88K, maybe 76, 72K range, that's healthy. Look out for that. That could happen. Don't freak out. That doesn't mean everything's over. It's just a healthy correction and pullback. Now, when that dip happens, sorry, tongue twister. When that dip happens, that could present a lot of opportunities in the market, across all the different narratives, different altcoins are talking about, and that could present an opportunity for something like Avalanche to maybe get, back, around $30 range. Now, who knows? That might not happen. We might not see those levels again, but I do think long-term Avalanche, and I've always said this about Avalanche. I think Avalanche is going to flip its all-time high or surpass its previous all-time high from the last cycle as far as market cap goes. And honestly, price, if you look at it, it was a $30 billion market cap. That's a 2x from here. If you look at the price, I think it was like 150 or something, like 135, 146 at 150. Yeah, I strongly think the Avalanche is severely undervalued, especially when we compare it to something like Solana. Now, if you're bullish on the gaming aspect, I think Avalanche has, without a doubt, the top gaming ecosystem, gaming chain ecosystem in the space with everything that they've built. Now, leading into the next part of the video, here are the three big narratives that I'm looking at personally. Now, again, this is not going to be a video to go into like mid cap, low caps. I know you guys like those videos, but there's plenty of them on this channel. Not a lot of that has changed, as we've talked about it, over the last year here. Now, another video of that is coming in the near future. Let me know, if there's anything you want me to talk about specifically in those. But these are just to let you guys know, again, these are the narratives that I'm positioning myself in, that we have positioned ourselves in on the channel. If you've watched the videos, and again, if you've been around, you deserve what's coming. The bull run, it is coming. Altcoin season, super cycle. If you've been around, through the FTX crash, the Terra Luna crash, all the depegging, all the different centralized exchanges falling. If you've been around for all those Black Swan events and you're still here, you're still watching the videos, mine, anyone else's, you're still in the market, you're still putting in the time, doing the trade-off of either going out to the bar on the weekends or looking into the markets and really studying your craft, you deserve, 100K Bitcoin, 200K Bitcoin, and the altcoin season that follows that. I strongly believe that. So now, going into it, the first, sector I'm looking at, it should be no surprise. I'm looking at gaming. I think gaming as an ecosystem, as a, narrative is completely undervalued, especially when we look at the market cap of gaming is only 22 billion. I still think that is criminally undervalued, especially when we look at the last cycle. It got to 50 billion, and I think we're going to potentially go to 100 billion this cycle for gaming. I really do. That's another thing I've said for quite a while. We have so many top tier games coming out. I mean, we have Off the Grid, which I think a lot of people in the space have, but I've played Off the Grid. I have countless hours in Off the Grid, and I don't even like battle royales, just putting that out there, but it's a fun game. I'm making sure to extract my hexes like everyone else. If you haven't played Off the Grid, I recommend it. It's actually very fun. And if you're like me and you don't like battle royales, give it a try. It is actually a pretty fun time. We have Shrapnel, we have My Pet Hooligan, and then we have a bunch of mobile games as well. Again, I'm not going to read off that list. You can find that on the channel. Now, when we look at gaming, the whole point of that is, letting you guys know that gaming is severely undervalued. We see that gaming is starting to show a slow uptick, in the last 30 days here. When we look across gaming, obviously everything. On the 7-day, we have gaming coins that are up 50%. We have gaming coins that are up 100%. That's a 2x over the 7 days alone. I mean, even on the 24 hours, we have some that are up, 30, 50, 70, 80%. So there's plenty of opportunity here. And there's even quality ones that I think are catching up, catch-up trades that haven't ran yet. But I think definitely will run here soon. Now, if we look at the sector, obviously, I want to point out the three kind of, in a sense, sector leaders or Bitcoins of their respective sector. And we look at Immutable X, it's without a doubt at this current state of time the Bitcoin of the gaming sector. Now we have seen them kind of take a little bit of a dip here recently. They had a lawsuit, I believe, with the SEC here recently. But as sometimes, I shouldn't say most, but sometimes with quality projects, if there is a lawsuit that can present itself maybe like a FUD dip, dip buying opportunity. So, because most of the time, if it's a quality project and the lawsuit's a little BS, for lack of a better term, they usually rebound pretty quickly. So, I think that is what we're seeing here with Immutable X. I don't think Immutable X is going anywhere. So, I do think Immutable X, again, does have a lot of room for growth. Now, obviously, something at a $2.5 billion market cap, I would not be looking here for 100x or 50x, something like that. Not that I'm guaranteeing any of that. But I do see a potential like 5 to 10x maybe on Immutable, which what that means is that if Immutable 5 or 10x is kind of like Bitcoin, I would strongly expect a lot of gaming coins, throughout, the narrative for that liquidity to go from Bitcoin, the top 25 to the top 50 to Immutable. And if Immutable does really well, then I'd be looking at, a lot of lower market cap gaming altcoins that you have conviction on. And that would kind of be where I'd be looking at as far as if you're trying to track what gaming's doing. Now, obviously, another one, I'll give it 2 picks for every, sector here. Another one that has, in my opinion, not a whole lot of downside, but still a lot of upside is Beam. Now, Beam is one that we've talked about consistently on this channel. Obviously, it is up 50%, which honestly is pretty insane for the market cap that it has. We saw, it was hovering under $1 billion for quite a while. I mean, Beam, I bring up literally almost in every gaming video for you guys, and I get some comments saying, well, it's super high cap, I don't know if it's worth it. Beam is still undervalued in my opinion. It's almost like an immutable X except for Avalanche, and given my thesis on Avalanche earlier, I think that Beam, because it is a subnet, Merit Circle subnet on Avalanche, I do think Beam is severely undervalued. I think it maybe has a little bit more upside, just given the lower market cap than Immutable X, even though that is, catching up, obviously. But, if you were into Beam, even when we were talking about the last video, the video before that, I think, you'd be up 50% right now over the 7 days. So, I mean, that just shows that just because something is a little bit higher market cap doesn't mean it's not undervalued. So, that can be applied to anything in the market, honestly. Now, those are the two that I'd kind of be looking at as far as like maybe the potential start of a gaming run. I do expect gaming to have a huge run. I get this question sometimes on when gaming is running. Why isn't it running? Well, gaming isn't a hot narrative right now. Really, memes are kind of a hot narrative in the background, but there isn't a full-on, narrative season right now, in my opinion. It is very much so Bitcoin season. We're seeing Bitcoin obviously going up, 10%, 30% over the 7-day, 24 hours. And until we see, the rotation of money and liquidity flow from Bitcoin into altcoins, I think that Bitcoin is going to stay the primary focus. Now, again, I do not think it's going to stay that way for much longer, which is why these videos are important. Again, whether it's mine or somebody else's you watch, the whole point is if you're in this market, if you've been sidelined the whole time, I think the time, that you have left to maybe get your potential entries before, things start getting pretty silly here in the markets is, slimming down. It's not like you have the same time you did a year ago, and I'm not trying to get anyone to FOMO in. That's the worst thing you can do. I'm just saying, if you're still here years later, please do not miss this opportunity because you still have a lot of room left in the cycle. We really haven't seen anything yet. Even if you do see things like Beam up 50%, that is nothing compared to where we're going, honestly, in my opinion. Again, as always, not financial advice. Now, gaming is one that I'm looking at. I do think, with quality games launching, quite often now, and gaming launches new TGEs like Xborg, S World, Cetify, or S World. We're seeing those new TGEs really performing quite well. S World being a one I want to shout out there. If you watch that video, that did well for us. So that's just a couple ones right there. But I do think when Off the Grid, which is arguably, not even really an argue, is the biggest Web3 game. When they launch their Guns token, maybe this year, maybe next month, maybe Q1 2025, nobody really knows. I do think it's going to bring a huge gaming run following that event, but we'll see. So gaming is the first narrative I'm looking at. The next one is obviously AI. I do think AI is going to be a huge narrative. I mean, because we have the real world, companies talking about it, NVIDIA, Tesla, they're building their robots, and AI is just really becoming in every single aspect of everyday life for a lot of people and businesses. So AI just makes a lot of sense. If we look at throughout the AI market here, we see that again, just like everything else we're kind of seeing. Everything is performing quite nicely here. Now, what I consider to be, I think everyone really does, the Bitcoin or the sector leader of AI is BitTensor Tau. Obviously, when we look here at BitTensor, it is also up, kind of like Beam, 40% on the 7-day. I think it got like under $200, I want to say here recently. Not $200, like $400. And now it is up by $600. Now, if we go to the all chart, we can see BitTensor got to 730. I think it was like a $6 billion, $5 billion market cap. I still think Tau has, room to grow because it is the biggest, coin in the AI sector. A lot of people are going to be looking at Tau, and I think that when Tau starts to move, same thesis. When Tau starts to move, I would expect a lot of liquidity, coming out of Tau, then flowing down into the other lower market cap coins. Because once people make their money on Tau, or they see that Tau moves, they're going to want to be looking for maybe the next Tau, or maybe other AI coins that haven't ran yet, that maybe have lower market cap, and maybe higher upside in their eyes. So that's what I'd be looking at. So BitTensor Tau is definitely one that I'd be looking at as far as a sector leader in the AI sector. Now, obviously, as a second pick, one that we've talked about so many times on this channel, because again, you might see some similarity there, word tongue or whatever, twist tongue. But Solana, very bullish on Solana. I have brought up Tars AI multiple times on the channel here. We're seeing Tars AI up 30% on the 7-day, it is an AI, in my opinion, one of the most quality AI projects on the Solana ecosystem or on the Solana chain. So Tars AI is one that I'm still looking at, and full disclosure, I've made this known on every video about Tars. I do hold Tars AI, and I have not sold any, and my conviction stays the same on it. Now, that is the second sector I'm looking at is AI. So we have gaming, as the first one. Then we have AI as the second one. And the next one is RWA, real world assets. Out of all three of these, I think that RWA is definitely, the one that is being slept on the most. I don't think a lot of people understand what RWA is as far as the narrative and what really all these projects do. And I don't think that a lot of people talk about it because there is a lot less. It's not even close. There's a severely lesser amount of RWA projects, in the sector, in the narrative, that there is to gaming or AI or even meme coins. So I think that's why RWA does get overshadowed a lot, but they're performing quite nicely. Now, when we look at the sector leader, or again, what I like to say, the Bitcoin of the RWA sector, to me, I look at Ondo. That's what I look at. They have ties with BlackRock. Obviously, BlackRock is a huge name, one that gets thrown around a lot in the crypto space. They do want to tokenize, everything really, and it makes a lot of sense. But, we look at Ondo, same thing. For such a high cap, a lot of people would maybe write it off because it was like at $1 billion, but it's up over 50% on the 7-day. So, Ondo, if you're looking for another point of this video is that if you want exposure to AI, gaming, or RWA, but you don't want to, spend the time into researching, what are the best lower cap projects in these sectors, but you just want exposure, maybe you're big into AI and nothing else, but you want exposure to gaming, well, Immutable X offers you that exposure to that sector when it does pump with good upside. Or if you're into gaming but nothing else, I would recommend looking into the other narratives as well, just getting exposure. Then in my opinion, Ondo is still undervalued, especially at a $1.3 billion market cap. I do think Ondo, I think it's going to crush its previous like $2 billion market cap. Really no problem in my opinion. But Ondo is definitely what I'm looking at as a sector leader for RWA. Now another Solana pick, again, no surprise there, which is honestly, it's a 2x over the 7-day, which is pretty nuts here. Is Parcel. Now, again, one that I've talked about so many times on the channel months ago. I told you guys, hey, this is to me the top RWA play on Solana. One of the only quality RWA plays on Solana. They have Coinbase Ventures that's invested into them, so it could be maybe a tier 1 exchange listing in the future. Nobody knows, but everyone does get scared by Parcel, and I brought it up on all the different videos about their FDV. They don't have any unlocks until early 2025, so, no unlocks really in the near short future. So either way, Parcel, to me, is, one of my picks personally that I would be looking at if you're looking for kind of a mid-cap, lower-cap play, especially if you're bullish on Solana, but RWA. Parcel is what I'm looking at. Now, another one I did just want to point out, so kind of give a third here, is Bricken, one that, we made a video on Bricken, again, months ago, letting you guys know, and I talked about it in other RWA plays, letting you guys know that, hey, Bricken to me is, pretty undervalued because, one, kind of like Parcel and, being on Solana, Bricken is on Base. I do think that Base is also going to be a hot narrative. I just didn't have it shown up here because I don't have their Base token live, obviously, but I do think Base is going to be a hot narrative, especially with Coinbase. We have Brian Armstrong kind of voicing his opinions in the space right now recently. I believe the founder or CEO of Coinbase. So I do think that Coinbase is going to be obviously going to remain one of the top exchanges. It's just easy for, retail or new investors to get onboarded there. And they have their Base, Base chain, the Base ecosystem, which I do think is going to be huge. If they do an airdrop for like a Base token, that's going to be a huge liquidity injection into the Base chain. Now, if that doesn't mean anything to you, sorry about that, but I'm just kind of talking a little bit fast here because I don't want the video to go too long. But when we look at RWA, kind of the same thing. If we're looking at Base, I think that Bricken is one of the better RWA plays on Base. Now, they did have some dilution issues in the past, but they've had that kind of get sorted out a little bit. So it's only about a 2.5x roughly in dilution right now. But we've seen Bricken, again, over the 7-day do over a 2x. This is another one that we do hold. I told you guys very transparently in that video. I do think that Bricken is undervalued because they do aim on, I believe, tokenizing pretty much everything, and they have a huge docs team, which is something I look for in any project, regardless the narrative. So either way, guys, just wanted to bring up that because that is kind of a win. If you were a part of that, if you took part by watching those videos, let me know. But again, I think, if you're looking at the top narratives, I think that gaming, just makes a lot of sense. I think AI makes a lot of sense. RWA makes a lot of sense as well. But I do think out of the three, I think RWA is probably the most undervalued and slept on right now. But again, with Bitcoin circling all the way back to where the market is, in my opinion, I do think we break 90K this week. I mean, I really do. I mean, we could dump, just from here, we could dump back all the way back to like 72K. But I do think we touched 90K. I mean, we got within a couple $100, and it was making all-time highs nonstop, and just more volume is coming in. So I do think that 90K is definitely going to happen this week. I don't know. I see a lot of people on the timeline already calling for 100K by Friday. I don't know about that. I mean, granted, I was wrong before. I thought we were just gonna smash to like 80K, then dip a little, but we went 10 grand over from what I thought in the last video. So, I try not to be overly bullish on the channel, but I'm not gonna complain, obviously. But again, guys, letting you guys know, I would just fully expect a dip. And again, when that dip happens, just realize it's completely normal. I mean, if we look at the last cycle, we can see that, Bitcoin will go up. It went up to 36. Then, went down a couple thousand. I don't know if that's going to show me the best in depth right there. But, either way, these dips happen from like 55 to 46. Dips do happen, in the cycle. So just be aware of that. 60%, 40%, 60% haircuts definitely happen. That's not something to be afraid of, especially this early in the cycle. As the cycle progresses and as things start to get a little out of control, I'll give you guys my opinion and what I'm doing when I'm exiting, when I'm selling. If you guys want to know that a little bit earlier, I will be updating that on the Patreon or the Discord. It's just obviously I'm not selling anything right now. As far as like my long-term conviction bets, one that we've talked about on the channel multiple times, because I do generally think that we are going to go much higher. I state this the most, and I'll close you guys out with this. If you think you've missed this market entirely because you see Bitcoin on screen right now, hovering around 90K, because you can go through the top 50 coins and see them up, 50, 60%, some even over a 2x, that is ridiculous thinking. Yes, are you as early as you were a month ago? No. A year ago? No. But that doesn't matter. You're here now. You've been here. And I do genuinely mean this when I say you are running out of time. I'm not saying to FOMO. Obviously, do not do that. I do think a dip is coming. But if you're not positioned at all and you're sidelined and you've been waiting for the right moment, I do believe that you're running out of time to get involved with some of your favorite altcoins, because we will see that liquidity, move throughout the cycle, move further down the list in the top 25, 50, 100, 200 coins, start hitting your favorite altcoins, that are lower down in market cap. That is coming. We will see that. So please do not stay sidelined forever, especially if you've been here since the last cycle. Do not miss this opportunity because, it's true. I've said it. I know multiple people have said it. I don't believe this will be the last cycle, but I am a strong believer of treat every cycle like it is the last cycle, because you have no idea what's going to happen in the future for for Bitcoin or anything else, any of our other favorite altcoins. So either way, guys, I just want to give you guys my opinion on the overall market, where I think we're heading, where I think we're at, what could potentially be next. Now, another thing that I did want to point out, I know I said I was going to close you out with that, but I did mean to bring this up earlier in the video, like right in the beginning. One thing to point out is that the Fear of Greed Index is, definitely extreme greed. Now, what does that mean? It means that typically, if you look, even over the 1 year, typically when it's in the extreme green, that is typically when a dip, should be potentially happening. So I do think a dip is definitely, in the cards. Again, I would not be surprised if we dip all the way back down to the low 70s range. That would not surprise me at all. And that might be bearish, however you want to say it, but that's just what I'm expecting. That's what I'm planning for. I'm going to get this question in the comments below. I get it almost every video. Am I buying anything right now? Well, the official answer you'd have to know either in the Patreon or the Discord, but I'll let you guys know that a majority of our positions, we already have them. Again, If you've been on the channel for the last couple months, last couple years, you know what we're in. Or if you're in the, either the private groups, you know what we're in. There's no reason for us to FOMO into anything. Now, it's long story short, I can sit on my hands the rest of the cycle until the right moments to sell, and I'd be fine. If we skyrocket tomorrow, I can go to sleep tonight. I'm not that worried about it because we've been here. We have the conviction plays, and that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. Make your plays, make your entries before it's too late. Don't wait for your favorite, altcoins that you've been watching to do a 2x, to get that green candle reassurance that it's a good project. If it's something you're waiting on and it's on a red day, maybe consider an entry, especially if you don't have one. Now, before I rant on too much, because that could easily happen for another 20-30 minutes, and I apologize if this video is too long. I just want to give you guys kind of my opinion on where everything is at. As always, guys, let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of the video. If you guys got any feedback or any useful information here, or where do you guys think we're heading next, and what does this insane Bitcoin move mean for you? Hopefully, you guys are positioned, and as always, I appreciate every single one of you guys, watching the videos, subscribing to the channel. It means a lot, and we are going to win this cycle together. We're all going to eat. Again, if you've been here, for the last couple of years with us, you deserve every little bit of this pump and this altcoin season that it is coming. I generally mean that. And either way, guys, if you got value out of today's video, if you guys can like the video, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, see you guys.